All
Hey,
right,
hey.
what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of We Got Questions. I'm your host, Mr. Hennessy, also with my host,
Just basically or
yeah,
basic.
just call it Basic. Yeah. So, welcome to another, like I said, addition to it. We are talking about what are we talking about today, Lee?
We're talking about the idea of what people bring to the table. Hey, Mel. And
Mel
setting
here.
standards and expectations. And it kind of all came from
What's going on,
it
Mel?
came from this. Well, actually, two parts. One of our people who come to our podcast all the time, and she's also in my lives a lot. She sent me this really interesting TikTok. Hold on, I'm just sharing this real quick with Garrick because he wanted to pop in. She sent me a TikTok from, and I'll tell you the guy's name because he actually has a. Here it is. It's Zeb Tally the Third, Dr. Zeb Tally the Third. He has a TikTok
Okay.
channel, and she sent it over to me. And it was kind of the idea of dating. He was talking about dating on our level, which kind of posed like a lot of really interesting questions. Because I've also had a conversation with another friend of mine where he was in another live, and the topic of that particular live was what people bring to the table and what they're expecting from their partner when they're seeking out partners. And the young lady had said, or a young lady had said in there that she didn't feel like she should have to bring anything to the table, that she was enough, and that it's really about, it's not about the woman bringing things to the table. But I kind of just want to start it with some of the concepts that he proposed, because I don't think I've ever had it or heard it expressed in that way. And the way he explained it was really interesting. And so it just made me kind of wonder what other people's takes were on what people. Mel said, I'm not. Look, Mel said she's not bringing anything.
You're not bringing nothing to the table, Mel? Okay.
Said she's not bringing anything. Just deal with it. But Mel, funny though, some people really, subscribe to the fact that they shouldn't have to. But it was just interesting. Also, it's interesting in what your standards are and what you're looking for. And as the story kind of unfolded, it was just interesting. And also his idea of it was interesting, because for a moment when I was listening to him, I was like, well, that's kind of, I don't know if I agree with that. But then when he wrapped it up, I kind of understood at least where he was coming from. So I just wanted to kind of I thought it'd be interesting for us. She said, I can't even. This is what we got to deal with now.
I got a slice of cat.
That's all, Mel. You bringing the slice? One slice of cat. Okay. All right.
Just a piece of the yams, huh? Just a little piece. And I don't even know if I'm right on what I'm saying as far as that. You just
I'm
bringing
sure
a piece
you
of
are.
yams.
You probably think that's exactly what she means. Yes, that's exactly
That's
what Mel
definitely
means.
what she means. Mel, you funny as hell. Well, Mel, when you want to come to the stage though, like you talk about it.
Yeah, Mel.
Come to the stage. I mean, I don't know.
But also, I just want to give a shout out to the girl who sent it to me. On TikTok, her name is Maya Pisces Loves You. I think she's been at our podcast before, and she also often comes to my live. So I want to give a shout out to, not a sliver. I want to give a shout out to
Sheiks.
Hey, welcome guys. So just to give like a little synopsis, a sliver of it, just a sliver.
Wow.
One of his clients, one of his patients came in, and she her argument was that she brought so much to the table, and that she felt like the men that she was dating, that they weren't meeting her on her level.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? And that he asked her, what she wanted, and she said, she wanted someone of high value.
Right.
And so apparently, which I think most people would say that that's what they're looking for. Like, they want someone of high value, but I guess it's all a matter of the interpretation of what you think high value is, because none of us are going to be like, I'm looking at somebody who's doing less than me. Like, he can't be doing as well. Like, no one's saying that. So I think everybody probably like, I want a high value person. And he made the comment that, she had a good job, and, she seemed pretty well-rounded. And apparently he has a concept that he calls his 5 areas of completion, where he asks people where they stand mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and then financially. And those are his 5 levels of completion. 5 ways that I guess we should evaluate ourselves, and if we are working on those things. Mm-hmm. You heard somebody say what? Oh, everyone's value is different, right? Everyone's value is different. Hey, Sheiks, I just realized you were here. I like that, so they can control it. Oh, right. True. That's true. You're right. Some women do look for men of lesser value than them because they want a level of control. But he was asking her where she felt like she stood in all of those places. And she kind of gave her answer, but she also felt like she wanted to date men who could potentially bring her up a level. Yes.
Okay.
She was looking for men who, if they didn't meet her level, she would like to have someone who could up her level, who could level her up. And his argument was that is not how we should view who we look for when we date. We should look for people who are equally yoked as us. They talk about that as a spiritual term. People who are in church, they look you're supposed to look for someone equally yoked, who has the same sort of religious and spiritual values as you. But he said we don't think about that in terms of other aspects of our lives. And should we be equally yoked with someone in all the other aspects of our lives? I just want the person to be themselves, and if we can grow together and level up together, then it may work. True. But don't you think, Sheiks, do you think that you have a standard of what you're looking for? Like, when you aspire, when you search for people, is there a certain type of man? Does he have to have is there a certain criteria that you're looking for? Is there a certain type of person that you're trying to draw to you or bring to you? And I think that was kind of where his standpoint was. Oh, that's interesting. Mel said marriage is a business. Which, I mean, true. A lot of people think of it. And it is much so a business.
I don't know how they lying, so.
Right. Equally yoked is why people don't last, because they don't value that. If you're equal, what happens when you outgrow them? Well, I mean, true, but hopefully, I think maybe, is the answer that the hope is that you grow together, and sometimes you don't. And yes, you can definitely outgrow a person. I think Mike's having a little bit. Mike, can you still hear us?
Yeah, I can still hear. It just
okay. Issues. He needs to be respectful, motivated, and driven. Understood. Let's see. Hey, Jess, how you doing? Jess said everyone has a standard. I don't think someone is going for a homeless guy in the street over the guy that works at McDonald's. True. if you're equal, you should be headed in the same direction. Okay, so follow me here, because this is exactly where he was going with this. His thing was, her argument was, so are you saying that I'm not good enough for the people that I'm trying to attract? And he said, his response was, I never said that. I never said that, but your insecurities did. You're good enough for whoever, but okay. You're good enough for whoever, but we should stop looking for people who are ahead of us or bring more to the table than us, because then one of them, like, they have to sacrifice. But we should instead be searching for people who are working towards the same goals that we are and are willing to put work in the same areas that we do. People do outgrow each other often. You can't ask for something of someone else that you did not require of yourself. Exactly. And I think that's what his whole premise was. I think he was trying to say, if we are asking for someone to bring more to the table than we do, then essentially aren't we putting them at a deficit? If we are looking for them to help us grow, what are they getting back in return from us? At some point, do they start to resent us because they're not getting that same thing back? True. You should accept from someone from where they are when you meet them. The table, let's see here. The table does not exist without partnership. Agreed. I'm always changing and leveling up. I expect that of my partner. True. There's no table without a yoke. You don't want to marry someone that is going to be jealous of your success. Right. And these are all valid points, which I think was kind of like to his argument. I think for a moment, like in my mind, I was saying, well, why wouldn't I want someone that could help me grow? But then I thought to myself, well, maybe he's right. Like, if I'm constantly searching for people who I can't meet them at a certain level, do they feel like they are missing out with me? You know what I mean? Do they feel like if I'm looking for someone to help me like succeed in some area, do they feel like I'm not where what they need me to be? Let's see here. The ambition and the drive has to match. I agree. I think that was his argument. His argument was we should actively seek people who are willing to work just as hard at the areas of our lives that we want to work at. So we both have to be in a constant state of growth and striving towards something. Mel, I don't know. Is it freezing on my end too? I know Mike was freezing and that's why he had to leave out. But am I freezing for y'all? Let me know. I don't know if we need to start over again. Y'all let me know if I'm lagging, if I'm also lagging on y'all's end. Because I know Mike was lagging for a moment and that's why he had to step out, but I think he's going to start over and come back. Let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb too. Hold on a second, y'all. There we go. Okay. But yeah, I think his argument was very much so we deserve people who are working equally to get to a point in life and to grow certain areas of their lives, as opposed to we deserve someone who has more than us. I hear women running down these lists for men while they blow bill money on nonsense and give 50% effort and work and make excuses. That kind of brings me to the second point that I was thinking about. So I was talking to another friend and they were in a live and it was a young lady who was saying that she does not feel like she has to bring anything to the table. What she's supposed to be bringing is not important. It's about what the man is bringing to the table, because essentially, in her mind, he would be taking care of her anyways. And so she didn't feel like anyone should be asking her what she brings to the table. Like, it doesn't matter. She's her. She's an attractive woman, and that should be enough. And then it was like, I don't know if I ever realized, I mean, I'm sure to some degree there was the idea that someone could think that way. But it's wild to me, because let's just put it this way. Maybe we don't have to bring the same thing monetarily, right? Maybe we don't have to bring the same thing in a tangible sense, but we should have to contribute something in order to contribute to the success of the relationship, spiritually, mentally, something. We have to be able to bring something. That's why these table talks are so unrealistic. And they can be. They can be unrealistic. You're right. Let's see here. I've had a man willing to help leveling up, but it was on one condition. It was on the condition I was willing to. Okay. So he had a man. I have a man willing to help level up, but it was on the condition I was willing to level up. I think that's understandable. Like, I don't think that's an unrealistic thing. If we're both working towards a common goal, that makes sense to me. Of course I want to help you if we're both willing to work towards moving forward. I think that's a very realistic sort of standard. You know what I mean? As opposed to a lot of people expect they get into a relationship and the partner that they're looking for is a partner of it. So we'll kind of go back to this high quality. I know women today, like people that I know personally, who what they are looking for is not what they bring. They are looking for a man who can take care of them and who can, and not say there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying this is women. I know women who feel this way. They are looking for a certain sort of kept lifestyle. But the level of what they're bringing to the table, of what they're offering, I don't know if it's matches to what their expectations are, if that makes sense. Like, you have to ask yourself, well, of course, if you're looking for a high value man, why do you think that he's not looking for a high value woman? If you're looking for a man who's bringing a certain amount of something to the table, why do you think that he is not also looking for a certain type of woman? Right. It usually doesn't. And I remember for the longest, we used to have these conversations with her about what her expectations were. Listen, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, TV really, really made people have a real unrealistic standard for what they're really going to find out here. And everybody started to think that they could have a certain sort of lifestyle. Not that you can't, but I feel like you also have to be able to contribute to having that sort of lifestyle, instead of just looking for someone to bring that lifestyle to you and to give you that lifestyle. When I tell you there is, and I know this because a friend of mine told me this, but there is a group of women who hang out socially, and they do things to put themselves in position to find these so-called high value men, right? So, they have like these standards. If you're supposed to look a certain way, you have to, they work out, they look a certain way, they have to dress a certain way. It's about the designer clothing. They are presenting themselves in a way to get a high value man, but it's more about the physical as opposed to the other areas that the doctor was talking about. So his 5 areas of completion were mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and financially. That these are the areas that we all have to work on ourselves. And these are the areas that we should want to meet our partner. Like, We have to think about how we look, what we bring to the table financially, what we bring to the table mentally, what we bring to the table spiritually. Where's our financial state? Where's our physical state? Our spirituality, not necessarily meaning that we have to believe in like a certain faith or a religion, but where are we spiritually? And how do we work on that? And is it important to us? And if we're like contributing to a relationship in that way. Let's see. You deserve love in all capacities at which you desire them to be realistic about the who and the how when you're busy looking for it based on false image being programmed into your head. Exactly. But I think that's what society has kind of conditioned young women to thinking that if you look a certain way, if you fit a certain mold, then you get a thing. Like this is the kind of lifestyle that you're going to live. And I think people sort of like, I think that's why this young lady in particular who was in this live was saying that what she doesn't have to bring anything. She just has to present herself in a certain way. And then she can get this high quality, high value man who's working towards these goals. And I wish we had more men in here because I really want to see what a man's take is. And hopefully we'll have some pop over soon. But I really am so interested into how men feel about this. And what they're looking for and what they think about requirements. Like, I got to get somebody to pop over here and talk about it. I sent it to a couple people, my friend Carlos and a couple of other people that I know. I thought they would bring like a really good sort of male's perspective on what men think about the idea of what you bring to the table and setting this table. And is it tangible things? But I've also had people who say to me, like, if your expectation is to not bring much to the table. Oh, really? I was just telling them that this was kind of given to me from one of our followers who's often in here sometimes, and she's in my live sometimes, and she gave it. If I can find this guy, and I think you guys should probably check out his TikTok channel. Let me see if I can find him again. His name is Dr. Zeb Tally III. He just did a TikTok on it before, and she sent it over to me, and I thought it was so interesting about thinking about looking for a partner who is equally yoked, and not meaning that we have to be on the same level, but that necessarily we should be, in a sense, working towards the same goals, and maybe on the same level, but also working on stuff. I don't know why I shake this thing until it knocks down every single time. He wore me out. I had to have some men are seriously hell-bent on reducing women to nothing for the table. That's true. That's why we need more men in here, because I'm so interested in finding out what the male perspective of what we bring to the table and what they're looking for a woman to bring to the table is. Exactly. I think societal norms have changed over time. And I think for a while, maybe the expectation wasn't as high, or maybe what they were looking for the woman to bring to the table was a very simplistic thing. Cook, clean, take care of the family. Can you cook? Can you clean? Can you look nice? Over time, those expectations have changed. And then we went into an area of social media, reality TV, creating a perception of what life is supposed to look like. And it's setting really unrealistic values for young women as well as men. And so I think that's why the whole conversation of what people bring to the table has changed. Right. The table doesn't exist unless we're both contributing. I need to check on Mike. Hold on, y'all. Let's make sure he's good. Oh, he's back. You're right. It doesn't exist without both. So that's why I feel like both points of views are valued. When it comes to what I'm looking for, I think it's changed so much over the years because it also changes with where I am at a certain point in my life and where my own personal growth is at a certain point in my life, what I'm looking for a person. And I think like when I was younger, of course I was looking for somebody who could be a helpmate.
Sucks.
Yo, you good?
It's this thing. Oh my god, my internet is trash.
It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
So go ahead. I want you to continue what you were doing or talking about.
We were just talking about. We actually just got to a point where we were talking about. We're hoping to get more men in here because we really want like a male perspective of how men feel about the whole idea of asking what someone brings to the table. I'm hoping that Ozzy can pop in here too at some point because I feel like we've had this conversation before in the past, and he had some really interesting perspective of that whole question, and also what is realistic. I think both men and women's perception is very different. And we were talking about how culturally and over time it has changed. How what people's expectations of a partner and what they're looking for in partners change. But I was also saying that for me, my expectations have changed with the different stages of my life and where I was at different points in my life. I've always said that people often ask me that when it comes to like, they ask me what age limit that I would date. And I don't necessarily say there's a certain age, but I do believe that both me and my partner should be looking for similar things. We should be looking for or working towards similar things. Like if it's just a fun like fling, then whatever. But if you're trying to be my partner, we should be both in an equal stage in our lives or a similar stage in our lives where we are working towards some sort of common goal, right? Because if your goal is to have kids one day and you want someone to build a family with, you're looking for a person who can bring attributes to be able to raise a family. I don't want any more children, so I'm not that person for you. Right. You might see me as, oh, she has, she's financially stable and all that stuff, but there are other things that I'm not going to be able to bring to you, mainly being the want to have another child. But there are other things that I might be lacking. We are not working towards the same commonality and goals. You might be at a place where you're still trying to like find who you are or figure out like what certain things are important. You might be at a place where you may not be financially settled or you're trying to get to a certain place, and that is all okay. But I think if we are both at different stages in our lives and we're not working towards a similar goal, there can be a friction because we don't want the same end goal. So at some point, we're going to come to a fork in the road and we have to make a choice if we don't want those same things.
Right.
Oh, Sheeks just said we all got to hold up the table. True. I feel like we do. We all have to be a part of it. Like we all have to hold up the table. You're right. Is there anything like that you think that you specifically look for, Mike, in people?
I think that for me, as far as speaking about the table and stuff, you can hear me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a little lag in it, but I'm gonna just have to keep talking. As far as bringing stuff to the table, I guess I try not to look at bringing stuff to the table because I'm not a take for tag person. I'm not like a person that's like, you kind of need these things or whatever the case is. Because I think that them expectations are cool, but I don't know. It's like a situation where it's like we have to have these things for us to be something. And I'm like, if I like you, the first thing I did when I met you was not talk about this table. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if I meet somebody right off the bat and then all of a sudden all these expectations of the table come about, what's the point of talking? I feel like if you have a goal as far as that in mind, Of course, you
Mm-hmm.
talk about that stuff when y'all sit down at the dinner table or when y'all out on a date or something like that, and y'all talk about that.
Right.
But as far as um, this, as far as like just these high expectations of what a person should make, um, how they should look, I guess, you know, credits, all that other good stuff. Like it, it's cool, but is at the same time, there's some type of structure about that that always just confused me. That just like I don't
Yeah.
know if I like this as much because bringing stuff to the table just there's a lot of fucking expectations, and some people can't meet these expectations. So it's like I'm not going to
True.
sit back and say, "Yo, how much you make? You make 65,000 a year. All right, cool. We can date now." Like what? That don't even make
Right.
sense to me. Like
But people
I feel
do
like
that though.
people meet each other at different stages in each other's life.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that you would be offended if a
Oh,
woman
I'm sorry.
in dating a woman? What's that? Say that again. Sorry.
No, I'm listening to you.
Oh, I was gonna say, do you think that you would be offended if in dating a woman, and let's say you guys were like going out for the first time, or maybe it's the second date, who knows, and she asked you, "What do you bring to the table?" Would you be offended?
No, because it's just some curiosity. I just probably would to a table because what is this table? Like, what is this? What am I bringing to a relationship? What am I bringing to what? Like, are we moving in together? Like, when you tell me what am I bringing to the table? Are we moving in? Are we doing these things? Are we about to
Ha.
get married? Are we about to do this? Are we about to do that? Like, because at the end of the day, you know what I have in my dating phases. You should know that stuff.
Right.
That's the questions you should be able to ask. You should be able to ask me, yo, what's your job? What's this? What do you do for a living? Blah, blah. You already talk about that stuff way beforehand. So when you
Right.
start talking about bringing things to the table, it sounds goofy because why would I date you that long or be with you that long? And all of a sudden, okay, so what you bring to the table? You know what I bring to the table. Just being full blast everything because I feel like we haven't got vulgar on the show. So I'm about to get vulgar. You know the money that I bring to the table. You know the time that I bring to the table. I hate the fucking table word. You know the time that I bring to it. Uh, you know what I do in my daily life to at this table. You
Yeah.
know what type of dick I bring to this table. You know what type of I know what type of situation you bring to this table. You know all these things. So why are we now going to build this big husky ass expectation and lump all that shit together to overwhelm ourselves or overwhelm each other?
Right.
That's just what I think about it. Like
Yeah.
you want to overwhelm me now with, hey, I'm bringing all this shit to the table. What are you bringing to the table now? You
Right.
know that stuff already.
So, but I think though, okay, so maybe not metaphor, maybe not talking about it upright, but I do think that people to a degree are looking for certain things in a partner. So it's a metaphorical table, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a metaphorical table in the sense that we're looking for what someone else is bringing to the relationship. But I do know people who actively seek certain things and they have a checklist. You know what I mean? Like they have a checklist in their mind, or at least they have an idea of the type of quality of man or woman that they're looking for. And the question is, what is realistic versus what is unrealistic? And do we both need to be able to contribute to the relationship, not necessarily financially, but maybe in other ways? You know what I mean? And is there an unrealistic value of what you're looking for out of another person? Is there do you think that there's a time when someone can say what you're looking for that's not real, like that's not realistic for you? Like, let's say you have a woman, she says, I'm looking for this, this, and this. He needs a six-figure job. He needs to drive this kind of car. I need him to like own a home, this, and that. Is there a time when a woman can say that might be realistic, an unrealistic thing for her? We could be like, maybe you shouldn't be looking for that. Maybe you should be
Is there
looking
a
for something a
time?
little lower. Yeah.
It No, it's really just based off of your standards and what you are. My thing is, where's the personality?
Right.
Where's that part at? Where's the person that you're dealing with? You learn about the material things of the person, where all these meticulous material things means nothing when a person's personality is trash. So that means you're willing. That's why I say, what is this? What is this thing? And I get it. This is not to challenge anything that you're saying. I think it's more or less when you build these expectations, you have no character involved in that. There is not a
Mm-hmm.
person involved with that. It's what they have that's involved with it. You can't. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I said you figure everything out in the dating phase. You figure all that stuff out then. There's a lot of people, a lot of experts, a lot of all these people that has preached the table. The Steve Harveys and the other guys that's out there that preaches, the table and this is what you bring and all the other stuff. But I hear nothing about character. I hear nothing about the actual person themselves because you, let's say you're making dating a person, we're going to make the number a number because we want to make it sound attractive. If a person is making $250,000 a year, he has the car, he has the house, he has everything. You tell me what's the number one thing out of that you're missing because all I hear is the conversation you're willing to have. My thing is, a lot of people like the materialistic things and they automatically think the personality should be there. And if it's not,
Right.
they just think that, oh, I'm out. Well, why are you thinking that way where you already knew what you wanted materially going into the relationship?
Right.
You wanted the table.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't say nothing about the person. You want the table. You can't say person
Right.
itself. That's why I said the table is flawed because it's everything that they have and not anything of who they are. If I
Right.
am a fucked up individual, what does my table mean to you? But here
Right.
we go. You got people who will still go for all of that shit because they want the material things out of life. I'm gonna tell you this now. It's the reason why it's a lot of single people in this world. It's a damn good reason why it is because ain't nobody gonna settle for just the table.
Right.
Nobody settling just for the table. If you're settling just for the table, you're foolishly heading into all that problem anyway. Because you're gonna go in there, he's gonna glitz and glamour the hell out you, and guess what? And let's just before I say this, anybody who has ever dealt with any abuse or anything like that, please, I am genuinely sorry. And I'm making a disclaimer right now. This is not a target towards you. It's just that this is the reality of certain things. You deal with mental abusers, physical abusers, controlling people. You deal with narcissism. You deal with cheating. You deal with everything because you want to stay, but you did not want the person. Like when you don't know the person, fuck that table.
Right. Um, you're right. There are a lot of divorcees in their 20s and 30s, and I think it's because there's an unrealistic expectation on relationships in general. Like one thing you said was like people are always worried about the table. I think a lot of people go into it looking for a already, let's say, a metaphorical, already set, beautifully set table. Fine
Made
dining
person.
table. People are already looking for a table
Mm-hmm.
that's already been set and
Mm-hmm.
is made up and they don't have to bring nothing to it. And I think about it in the sense where if we're going to call it a table, we should both be setting this table together, correct? Like maybe we should be thinking about it in that sense where we're both setting
Mm-hmm.
this table
Yeah.
together. And I think that's why I found it so interesting of what his 5 areas of completion were, because it was not just about monetary. It was not just about a physical thing. It was about working on yourself mentally and spiritually and all those kinds of things and the things that we're looking for in character in people. We should be bringing all of those things equally, but also more so we should be looking at people who are working on those things. Like, how do you value your mental? He made a really good point. Like he was like, if there's a person who is emotionally intelligent and you are not emotionally intelligent and emotional intelligence does not matter to you whatsoever, don't you think that you're putting the other person at a deficit if they if they possess emotional intelligence, you didn't care anything about that. You were just worried about all the other stuff. And you don't care anything about working on your own personal emotional intelligence. At some point, because you're looking for the other stuff, you're looking for somebody to level you up and bring you up, but you're not willing to work on your own emotional intelligence. At some point, don't they build some form of resentment because you guys are not both you're not both equally invested in that aspect of your life, of how you better yourself emotionally and spiritually and mentally. Right. And then you do fail them. You're right. In a sense, there's like, you fail them in a sense too, because if it's not important to you, but it's important to them, and the things that were important to you were all these other things, all this other checklists that you had, they lack something. You can say that again. Emotional intelligence is an underrated trait. When I tell you, and it's just recently, I can say this. I didn't realize how important it was to me until recently, in having very random conversations with people. I didn't know how many people lacked emotional intelligence. And they speak in generalities. They speak in catchphrases. But as far as really understanding the way other people's emotions work and not just theirs. And I don't want a kitsch phrase. Like, I want you to really understand. You're going to start your internet over?
Yeah.
Okay. People not really, like, people don't really understand. I've had some people have conversations with me, and I feel like they don't realize that. They obviously don't realize it because they're talking, but I feel like I'm talking to like a brick wall. Oh my gosh, emotional capacity. There are so many people. I don't want to say men. I mean, of course, it's men in my particular case because I'm dating men, but there are so many men that don't understand emotional capacity. They give you things in a catchphrase. They give you things out of an excerpt that they read somewhere. But really, truly understanding the way emotion works. Thank you. Listen, if you don't have the capacity to understand what I'm telling you and to think about things on a deeper level other than surface, or how it applies to you directly, but not even in consideration of my own emotions and how things work for me, or that maybe we might not process emotions the same way. The fact that you can't understand that is crazy. And you'd be surprised. Like, there's so many men who have no, like, and not just men, I hate to say that, there's so many people in general that have no idea how to even think outside of what is their own box. They have no idea how to think outside of what are their own feelings. Oh, that's what ended your marriage. Listen, I think it's a killer of a lot of things. It's a killer of marriages. It's a killer of the beginning of relationships. I'm personally a person who like tries to consider not only my own emotions, but other people's, and how things that we do and that I say and that they do and they say, what the perception of it is from both ends. And that's important to me, to be able to understand where another person might be coming from. So if you're not willing to meet me there, then we already have a problem. You're not even going to get back what you put out if the capacity doesn't match. So true. Both of y'all with 100% from a gallon tank to five. Right. Let me tell you, I was really interested in this guy not too long ago, and we had this conversation, and I remember it making me so frustrated because we were talking about something that wasn't happening presently, but it was something that had happened in the past. And his inability to have compassion for, or to even understand what I was trying to say, was crazy to me. Not to say that he had to agree with me, Okay. Not to say that he had to agree with me, but just his inability to even rationalize or understand or try to put himself in my, like, it made the conversation so difficult to have. It was a struggle. And then I was like, oh, okay. We're not going to be able to have conversations like this, obviously. Because if you can't see it from just your side, you can't see it at all. If you can only understand your emotions, but not mine. Dealing with emotional unavailability is hard. It's hard. You have to be willing to, I think that's almost like the key. It is. It's exhausting. And you're right. It does mean two people are incompatible. I felt like, and I hate to say this, but I felt like to an extent, he was used to speaking to other people who may not be emotionally intelligent. And so if you can fill them with a lot of words and fluff, then they never ask questions because you sound smart, right? You sound like you know what you're talking about because you use big words and you say things. But the fact that you're not able to process that your feelings and emotions are not the only feelings and emotions that exist, and that you can't effectively consider someone else, crazy to me. Right. I had a conversation with another friend of mine and we were talking about this, and I think it does have a lot to do with dating inexperienced women, that they can just say anything to, and they'll just be like, oh, you must be right, or you're right, I am wrong, or you're right, like what you're saying is right and maybe I'm wrong. Like, no, I'm a 41-year-old woman who has been through the gambit of life and experiences, and if anything that I've learned through life and experiences is a sense of compassion, not just for myself, but for other people. Even if they don't necessarily deal with things in the same way that I do, I still have to be compassionate to their feelings and emotions. What's wrong? Like, you just came and shaking your head.
Because you see how clear it is now?
It is.
I should have started this some bitch over a long time ago.
He came back in, man.
Yeah, I chose violence today. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. But yeah, people like dating inexperienced women, they feel like they could say anything to them, right? And they don't, maybe they're not looking for more. But for me, as a woman who has been through the gambit of life and like dealt with so many things in life, but also have tried to find, Mike, they say you fighting for your life.
I'm big time fighting for my life over here, man. That's some bullshit.
But just like trying to, I've been through
Thank y'all
life.
for being patient.
No, of course. I've been through life. I've dealt with so many things. And I've also tried to be an introspective person. But also in trying to be introspective, also trying to understand where other people are coming from and why they make certain choices.
Right.
The fact that some people can't do that is crazy. It's wild to me.
Okay.
But, maybe they don't think that that's important. But that's why one of the things that I should look for in another person is someone who does. Like, that's when I knew that that was something that I valued. I value someone who holds a certain level of emotional intelligence, or they're working towards improving their own emotional intelligence. Correct. Giving people grace. Like, I want somebody who values emotional intelligence just as much as I do, and who works towards it in the same way that I do. That's something that I'm looking for. Someone who's at least working towards it. I shouldn't be looking for someone who is better necessarily than me, which is what that doctor was trying to say, that I shouldn't be looking for someone who has greater emotional intelligence than me. But I should be looking for someone who finds equal importance to it and who works equally towards having it. And that makes sense. I will say this, though. To his argument, I have dated a guy who I recently, not too long ago, actually, like about a year ago, I was casually dating a guy who I remember feeling like everything for him was very black and white. Like it was either right or wrong. There was no gray area. And he was a I remember there was a point in time when I remember saying to him, and now that I think about it, I'm kind of mad for saying it. I remember saying to him, you make me want to do better in certain areas of my life. Not that that is like a bad thing, but I also think about the fact that that came along with, it wasn't that I was never not trying to do better in my life in those areas. I felt like in order to be good enough for him, I had to be better in those areas. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
I do. I do.
Like,
I mean, for a lot
it
of people,
wasn't
you
that
have
I
to be
wasn't
better and stuff
already
like that.
working on it, but I
Mhm.
had somehow warped myself into thinking in order to be good enough for this relationship, this has to be better. So I have to work on it. In order for him to think that this is good enough for him and that I am a worthy partner for him, I need to immediately change this. And I think it was not necessarily that I was working to be better at it. It was the fact that the focus of it became to be better for him in the relationship, as opposed to the fact that I was already working on it. Like I felt like I wasn't getting there fast enough. Like he needed this in order for this to be good enough for him. And that it somehow in my head, I had rationalized that I needed these things to be better immediately so that he could see a value in me. It was the way I had conceptualized it that was the problem. Not that I should be working on it anyways, but just the way that I had said, I'm not good enough for this relationship until this gets better.
Sending out the podcast to people, still trying to get people in. All right, so as far as like I said, dealing with just a different type of people, I guess for me, um, when I was doing relationships back in the day and stuff like that, it
Mm-hmm.
was always, what do I bring? What do I bring? What do I bring?
Yeah.
And you found yourself being overwhelmed with, if I was to date somebody, I need to bring something to somebody or bring something to this relationship to be able to date them. It's one of
Yeah.
the hardest freaking things to deal with. It really, really was.
Yeah.
Um, and what didn't make it fair for me was I felt as though I wanted to be with somebody, but then I would look at what their life statuses was. So it's like if you had a lot more going on in your life, I didn't feel like I really matched you. But I still would try to talk to you
Mm-hmm.
because I like the person, but I didn't match them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you'll learn quick. A smart person will learn quick if that person is good enough for them or not. Will they accept you in your lifestyle after a certain point? Like y'all can date, y'all can date, y'all can date. But it gets to a point where, just being honest, people become expensive.
Yeah.
Dating becomes expensive. Like being with somebody can become expensive. You find yourself spending money on things that you probably don't really even should have the money to do. You know what I
True.
mean? Like you find yourself more investing into the finances side of relationships and actually putting that work into, you know, build something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and that's probably one of the biggest reasons why I never felt like I was close enough to marriage, because I was always in a situation where it was, what do I bring to this?
Mm.
I think once I started finding my own self happiness, it made it easier.
Do you
Once I
think that
started
you were
finding my,
do you think that you were thinking of it as what do I bring to this? Were you thinking of it in a financial aspect, or were you thinking about it holistically?
um, holistically,
Mm.
and always had the one advantage of being a great personality, being
Mm-hmm.
goofy, being funny, being certain things like that. Like I can make anybody laugh. That's a normal, easy thing for me. But I think it was more or less like I found myself dealing with that portion of it. Like
Right.
I only can do the thing. My personality was enough to
Yeah.
get me by, to get me to the next stage of the person. Like
Right.
I think I did realize at one point I was getting ahead of myself dealing with people.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to figure that part out. Like, and it wasn't just finances. It was just maybe living situation, maybe the fact that I had a daughter. You know what I mean? Like a lot of that play factors. Like I wouldn't date for a long, like significantly date. I will only exclusively date people with children because of that. Like because of the fact that I dealt with people who thought it was too early for me to date somebody. I remember being out of a relationship with my daughter's mom for like 3 years. Somebody told me that it was still too early. Like, oh, yeah, you can still get back with her. I was like, I haven't been with that woman in 3 years.
Right.
Here we go, another 7+ years later. Like I haven't been with her 10 years. I can imagine somebody coming up to me and telling me, "Oh, you got a child? Oh, your child, your time gonna be for your child." And like when I tell people the things that I bring that's why I say the table is unrealistic, because the expectations get weird. What happens when I start bringing my daughter into the mix? You know what I mean?
Right.
What happens when I start bringing my friends to the mix and other people? Because I'm not bringing just me, I'm bringing everything that belongs with me.
Right.
I'm bringing friends, family, fucking kid, cat. No, I ain't got no cat, but a cat if I wanted to. I got an Xbox that I got to spend time with. I got a lot of things that can hinder some relationships, and
right.
I'm not going to sit here and try to figure that part out. Like what I don't know. It's weird. I'm not going to. I don't know. I don't want to bow to just that. Like that's why I said the table to me is just weird. Let's just
right. Mike said he bringing the Xbox to the table.
I'm bringing
he's sitting the Xbox in the center of the table. It's the center console of the
See this sexy ass controller right here?
Oh my gosh. Here we go. Not kissing the controller. And that's why Mike's bringing the Xbox to the table. That's why Mike's Xbox is definitely on the table. It's definitely on the table.
And her phone is on the table now.
Right. Everything is on the table. Everything is on the table. It's almost broken, honestly, at this point. The table is almost broken. Listen, it's funny that you should say that thing about I was watching this Instagram reel, and this guy said a lot of times before he asks women out, he will go to their social media and see what their lifestyle is and see if he can match their lifestyle, because he would hate that they go out on a date and he can't afford it. Like he can't afford the type of lifestyle that she wants to live. There's a guy who was on, I think he actually has a podcast. If I can find his podcast, I'm going to send it to you. But he was on someone else's podcast at the time. And he was talking about that when he looks at women and when he wants to go out with someone, he will look at their socials first and see what type of lifestyle they live. Like, do they live a very lavish lifestyle? Do they like to go out and party a lot? Do they hang out at very expensive spots? He needs to know if he can equally match that lifestyle. And if he can't, he won't bother.
Right.
Because he can't, they're not in that equal space. Obviously, he imagines that what she wants is a man that can afford a certain type of lifestyle. And when he realizes that he can't afford that lifestyle that she might be living, he just immediately rules himself out. But to a degree, I get what he's talking about. Like, not necessarily saying that that's what he should do, but I get what he's talking about. Like, I can imagine what it would be like to be pursuing a woman who wants to live a very specific kind of life that you don't think you can afford.
Right.
What's up, man? It's about time you got up in here.
So, I have a good question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of how to ask the damn question. Continue. I'll remember. I'll get it. I'll get it together in a second.
Listen, I felt that thing about the fall. I don't know why today of all days this wants to fall. Like, it never falls on any.
Trying to see what's on the table. That's all.
It saw that there was a low cut shirt. Let me just
listen. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. She giving a lot of skin today. And look, she froze. Just out of nowhere, she froze. All right, so it's obviously the Mike and the C show now. So once she's done freezing, we'll get back to it. But I'm gonna pop this one up here. Men be befriending you and listening to you and all the things you like and love, scamming you that way too. Yes, big time scammers. I'm not gonna say all men are scammers, but men are scammers. We got some assholes in the mix. So I'm guessing her phone probably froze or restarted some type of way, but believe it is that. You're a victim. Okay. Okay. Listen, that happens. It
I'm
definitely
back.
happens.
I don't know what
Oh,
happened.
but the other basic is still up there. All right, no, go ahead.
Okay. I don't know what just happened, but it was like, oh, really?
Mhm.
You're trying to show? Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. See, yo,
Why? Why is this happening to me today? What is happening? What is going on?
yo,
I feel like I'm being punked.
uh-huh.
What is
It's going
happening?
to be your phone. Like, what the fuck is on that table? Like, it wants to see what's on that
Listen.
table so bad.
What is going on? Why today of all days? I feel like this has been a day full of like technical difficulties that I don't even know why. Like if it was you at first, and I was just like, okay, we're just gonna go ahead and knock the whole thing down. Just knock the whole camera down.
Destroy the whole fucking
My
podcast.
gosh.
Listen, this is good shit right here because obviously
I'm trying.
this is good stuff. So,
What can I put?
for you personally,
Okay. For me.
I got a question. So,
Okay.
do you have high expectations?
When I'm looking for a partner,
Mhm.
I was saying to them earlier, my expectations have changed throughout the years, right? I yeah, that's what I was trying to look for, something sturdy. Anything sturdy. I don't know what, when I tell you, I have no idea why today of all days it wants to just fall over. But we'll let's hope for the best for the rest of the podcast. I think what I expected or what I needed out of a partner has changed a lot over the years, right? So right now, I think I'm just looking for a person who, I don't need a person like my mother used to say, you need to find someone who can help take care of you, right? And that's not, maybe when I was in my 20s, that would be a thing that I was looking for. Maybe when I was in my 20s, when I was trying to or about to start a family or thinking about starting a family or wanting to get married, that was something that I was looking for. But I'm at a stage in my life where I've been taking care of myself for years. My daughter's 18, she's about to go to college. My focus and my values and what I want out of life are completely different now than they were when I was in my 20s. So my expectations for a man are not necessarily, I don't want to say they're not high. She did say help, but I know what she means by help. I know my mom and I know exactly what she means by help. Idealistically, in her world, she would like for me to have someone to take care of me because that's just what she wants for me. And that's what she had for her. My dad took care of my mom and took care of us. My mom did not work. She took care of us as kids, but financially, my father was the breadwinner. My daughter's 18. She's about to go to college. Building and starting a family is not my focus anymore. Been there, done that. We're on to a new phase. I think what I'm looking for now in a partner has a lot to do with something deeper than monetary things. I do want you to be able to take care of yourself. I do believe in the idea of us both contributing to the relationship, but I don't know necessarily if that means, I'm not talking about necessarily tangibly. I mean, I want us to both bring something to one another's lives, right?
Yeah.
But I also want us to have similar core values where the things that are important to us, the things that we believe in working on, the things that we find introspective, the things that are, that we want out of life, parallel to some degree. They don't have to be the same, but I do want them to parallel to some degree. I don't want to feel like what's important to me is not important to you in any degree so that we can't talk about things. You know what I mean? I want us to be able to share life in a certain way. I'm looking for someone to be a partner to me in a sense and share life with me. And so I think that's why I found so much value in his 5 areas of completion, because I think we don't often think about those things and how we work on those things personally, but those are things that are important to me. I want someone that I can laugh with. I want someone that I can talk about life with. I want someone who finds depth in the same kinds of things that I find depth in. So those are my expectations from a partner. I don't need you to meet a certain like financial level, because I can take care of myself. But if we're going to come together, I don't want to have to take care of you. So at least my base level is that you can hold your own, because I know I can hold my own. And together, we both bring something to the table. Like, we're both bringing something together to each other, the metaphorical table, right? I don't need you to take care of me. I don't need you to have a 6-figure salary, but I do need you to be whole within yourself and still working towards things, because I'm not perfect. And so I'm still working towards my own things. I just need us to be able to have value in similar things that we're both working towards, that we both find important, that we both want out of life. My focus and what I want from a partner is not what you can contribute tangibly, or how you can take care of me, or how you can make my life better. Hopefully together we do make each other lives better, because we both are working towards a commonality and goal. That's why I want you to have somewhat similar values. And again, that doesn't mean necessarily, like, it doesn't have to be necessarily religious, but for some people it does. And I think that's okay, because if you have certain religious values and that's important that your partner has those religious values, I think that you should be looking for a person who can meet you on those levels. I just want somebody who finds the same importance in life and in the things that they're working towards that I am, so that we can contribute to one another. If we're both working towards something and similar somethings, then of course that's when we, in my mind, that's when we both level each other up, because we're both equally working towards similar things. We both equally find value in similar things. We both equally want to improve certain areas of our life. So we seek out knowledge and understanding of those things. And as we learn and contribute to one another and share with one another, that is our method of leveling up. And I feel like there's nothing, when you can find a partner who can give that to you, there's really nothing that you two can't really achieve together. If you both are working towards a similar commonality and goal, they should be at least parallel. You know what I mean? And not to say that you guys can't have any differences, because I also find a beauty in, you like this, but I might not know anything about this, but I want to know about it. So maybe you can teach me something I don't know. You know what I mean? We don't have to be the same person, but at the core of what we want for ourselves, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, we're both working towards improving those same things in our lives.
Right.
That's what I'm looking for. So I don't think I have super high expectations. I'm just looking for a person that I can share life and, life in my space with, and we grow together and enjoy life. But I think at different phases of life, different people want different things.
Okay. So, like, everything that you're saying, can say, like, it'd be cool as shit if this is, like, the blueprint it was for y'all and somebody followed it. Like, most men, they hear this and they're not going to follow it. You know why? Because it's going to get too difficult. All that shit is too difficult for men. Then I ain't gonna say all men, but it's like for certain men it's too difficult. Like y'all want to be, softwares. Y'all want to be loved by us. Y'all want to be taken care of by us, and all this other stuff. But I think immediately when somebody here taken care of, what is the first thing you think about?
You think about money.
Money. Yeah, you spend a whole bunch of money on it. It's like, dog, I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you to be there for me. The way that you would want someone to be there for you. Like. The transactional things and the tick for tax sounds good when it's actually beneficial to y'all both, like in a great way. I'm talking about like I said, holding each other and loving each other and spending that quality good time with each other. Like, it'd be cool as hell if that's what is something that can actually happen, but it don't really happen as much. But the expectations of men don't seem to be extremely high as far as that. It seems like it should be exactly what you need to sustain a great relationship. Like
Right.
because you're asking him, just bring your best self and be the best version of you for me. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's simple, simple, easy, easy to do. Like just do you have the talent to do that? Because all this stuff means like you gotta have a talent to actually take care of somebody. You gotta be good at taking care of somebody.
Right.
And somebody said it very. Who said it? Somebody said, was it Mez? Yeah, that self-sufficient part. That's where you develop your talents. You gotta do self things. You gotta learn how to love that person inside. And that's the number one thing. That's a blueprint for me when it comes to these standards and it comes to these expectations. Is that one of the biggest questions I ask, and anybody I ever dated, or ever went out on a date with, I don't it don't matter if somebody in the comments or y'all know who. I always ask one particular question: how do you take care of you, or what do you do for you? What is your
Mm-hmm.
happiness? What do you find that makes you happy? That's the questions that I typically ask. And
Right.
I'm going to be on your ass about your happiness because once I start getting a certain way, I got to sit back and I got to evaluate me and learn me again and learn how to be a better version of me because I can't comfort you if I'm uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like, I can't do what you need me to do if I'm uncomfortable.
Right.
So, like, when people say this relationship thing is tough, it really fucking is because it's not tough in the sense of it's hard. It's tough in the sense of you got to always become something more for that person.
Right.
You don't have to change who you are. You just got to become something more. Be better for you. Be better for y'all. You know what I mean? Like, and it's tough. It really is. It's tough to be better for you because nobody likes change. If you change it
Right.
too much, it ain't gonna work out. If you change it too much,
Right.
you get scared of that shit. So it's like I'm only saying that to say like you asking for the simplest things, but it's so difficult for some people to grasp that.
That's true. And we actually kind of briefly talked about that for a moment. I don't know if you were in here at the time. I was talking about how, for me, one of the things that I find important is emotional intelligence, but also I've recently realized how difficult that can be sometimes to
Mhm.
find that in people who can only see things through their lens and not other people's lenses. And so it becomes very skewed because you're not willing to think outside of your own box. And then when we talk about things, you give me catchphrases, you give me something that you might have read in a book somewhere. But to be able to look deeper into something that's more than just what's black and white or written on paper, because life is not always black and white. People deal with things very differently. And if we can't have conversations that go into depth without you giving me a quick catchphrase or you telling me how it's supposed to be because that's how it applied to you, as
Mhm.
opposed, like stuff like that. Like, I didn't realize that I didn't realize how difficult it was to find people who valued or who understood emotional intelligence. You know what I mean? They might think they do, but I didn't even know that was something difficult to find. I do think that sometimes I think what I'm looking for is very simple, but a lot of times what I'm looking for is very hard to find.
Yeah.
Um, Finding someone who effectively communicates. Some people mistake I talk a lot or them talking a lot for communication, but communication is about listening. It's about trying to understand. It's about consideration. It's about giving someone the space to maybe potentially think something the opposite of you, but
Mhm.
still being considerate and respectful of what they're saying, because
Mhm.
we don't necessarily have to agree. But in order to effectively communicate, I need you to listen to me and to consider it and to hear it, you know. But those are very difficult things to find. It sounds like a nice, easy, pretty package, but it is very hard to find. To find someone that you can effectively communicate with, right? They are diamonds in the rough. Like, and I think that's been a struggle for me over time because I think that what I'm looking for is simple, but it isn't. I think what I'm asking for people to bring to the table is simple, but obviously it isn't, or else I would have found it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I also have to sometimes say, am I being too rigid with my expectations? Do I need to leave wiggle room for compromise? Which is the other part of what our expectations are and our standards.
I got something for that. I want to say three things real quick. When I get to
Mhm.
need everybody, if y'all got a chance while y'all in these comments and stuff, press that like button. If you press the like little thumbs up thing, that'll help us out a lot. Please
Yes.
press the like button. Let's get these little numbers up, whatever the case is. Share it out to somebody if y'all like the conversation. You think somebody will benefit just listening to it. Send it to them. Please do send it to them. So, and I hope that you guys are enjoying yourselves, brother. So,
Yeah.
I want to say this, Lee. Based off of what you're saying, right? There's two things. One, you mentioned the communication part. And this is one of the beliefs of me saying words need to be more expanded upon.
Mm.
We just say communication is always listening and learning, right?
Mm.
What about adaptability? That's part of communication.
True.
If you've communicated, you would adapt. Um, what about like the acts of services that go along with the communication?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody tell you to do stuff. Communication is actually you listen, but what did you apply to the communication itself?
Right.
Did something come with that level of communication? Did you add to it? Did you bring something in with it? You know what I mean? Like that's something that's a part of the communication too. Like,
Right.
hey, I added this. That's how you know you was listening. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Exactly.
the action has to come through the communication itself. So it's like that's one of the things I wanted to apply to what you were saying. Like where it's like when I want you to listen to, I want you to how can I if I listen to you but you don't see no action behind it, what communication happened at this moment?
Right.
You know what I mean? Where was the communication? Because now you have no proof that that I listened or learned or did whatever. You know what I mean? If you tell me, hey, you start taking the trash out, whatever the case is, because that's just I don't like taking trash out. That's not my thing. That's you communicating that to me and asking that from me. That's your act that you want me to perform for you.
Right.
I have no issues with that. So, all right, cool. On it. I'm on trash duty. Take the trash out. Your communication is affected now. You know, it went to effect. Now it's happening. You know, now somebody's happy out of this communication.
Right.
I mean, like, and it's always something. That's why I said the tick for tax, the transactional things. Those are the transactional things that matter. You know what I
Right.
mean? Those are the things. So, you know what I mean? Like, I definitely like that you said what you said because it was able, like I said, words need to be expanded. Communication needs to be broader. How can I say communication? Everybody always know, like you said, listen, learn. What else is it? Actively listening, talking, learning. But there's applying it, and then there's the actual action of communication.
Right.
So it's like when you discipline a child, you tell them to do something and they don't do it. Guess what? They weren't listening to your communication. They didn't care to hear you.
Right.
When they actually do something, it changes everything.
But like I was saying, like I also often ask myself, like, because I can't necessarily, because it's so hard to find those things, should I allow room for compromise in looking for those things? Like, should I be like,
I was going to answer that one too, but go ahead.
No, go ahead, please. Because
Okay.
I often ask myself that, like, am I doing too much by asking or wanting or needing someone who is able to communicate effectively? Like, am I being too judgy because somebody doesn't know how to talk to me and communicate? Or I feel like we can't have a conversation without feeling like I'm talking to a brick wall. Am I
That's funny.
like,
But
am I doing too much by wanting someone who can understand, who's understanding emotionally, has emotional intelligence? Like, am I asking for a lot? Are these things that seem simple because it's so hard to find? Do I need to leave some wiggle room or some space if somebody doesn't have that and be like, well, maybe they have this. So maybe I just got to like give them some grace and not require this from them. Or maybe I can like look over it and just because maybe not everybody's equipped with those things. Like, do I stick to that and say that this is what I want and this is what I need, and so this is what I should be trying to get because there are things that are important to me? Or do I open myself up to understanding that not everybody can be that way? Like, what? I don't know what I don't know how to. I ask myself that a lot.
So one of the things that I feel like you need for anything that you have those type of questions, you need people that are unbiased. That's one. You don't need somebody that's always on your team for everything. So when you ask the question that you just asked, I'm glad that you asked because you already did step one. Step one is don't decide that by yourself. Right. Talk to somebody and see if that's actually a good decision to do. Like, if that's a good decision, yeah, slippery slope, most definitely. I can't remember this word, it's too tricky. Yeah, it's big time tricky. That's why I'm about to explain it to her. When you compromise, everybody knows compromise comes with you not being happy. That's what the compromise is. The compromise is I gave up some of my happiness to make them happy.
Yeah.
That's what the compromise is. So it's like when you say when you said do I compromise with this person and just this is what it is? No. You find someone else that is unbiased, and then when you go back and explain to them all your expectations, kind of let that person decide. Not to make the deciding factor, but decide, all right, that might be a little bit too much. You might want to take these things away.
Right.
Everybody, and this is just a kind of like a little something to learn. Everybody needs a mastermind team, and it's not just for business. Businesses usually have mastermind teams. Mastermind teams are to maybe 4 or 5 people that you trust that are unbiased that can tell you if you're making a good or bad decision.
Right.
They should be able to tell you yes or no. This isn't just you my home girl, so I'm just gonna nah. You don't need that. You need somebody to be able to tell you no, don't do it, or yes, do it.
Right.
And then once they give you that and they explain to you why, or if they choose to just tell you yes or no, they explain to you why, it helps you out a little bit more with your decision making.
Yeah.
Your mastermind team is not meant to be a person who don't like someone, so they're going to tell you no because I don't like them.
Right.
They're going to tell you no because, or they're going to tell you no because maybe your expectation has hit a point where it's like, don't make yourself unrealistic. Make yourself realistic, but do something like I always say, like once you have expectations with somebody and you go and you do it and you find that person with the expectations or whatever the case is, or you throw that out there. If something is that you don't like about that person, that don't mean you need to throw the person away. That means your approach needs to be different.
Right.
You need to change something up. All right, so I tried this. Let me finagle this and let me see. Let me ask these questions. Let me see about this. You know what I mean? Like, let's say a person tells you they make a certain amount of money per year, but what is their job life like? You know what I mean? Like, let's say a person making 75K a year, but he's a construction person, right? You might not like a person that's that physical in their body, but they make the money. You got to try to see, hey, do you have a future plan? Ask different questions that engage a different way. Hey, do you have any future plans? Do you think you want to do that for the rest of your life? Especially for a person at a certain age, you want, you think that you want to keep doing this? Like, do you think that you want to pursue something else? And that's how you can gauge what that person can start bringing to your life. Bring it towards your life. Because at the end of the day, if you got a person who's working his ass off and bringing materialistic things like money or whatever the case is, he's still doing hard physical labor. So if you introduce him to something else, maybe he has the idea to say, okay, I'll get up and I'll go somewhere else. Like I'll look at something else that makes me the same amount of money and you help him out. And you do that. So like there's different ways to gauge people and to do certain things. So that's my take. Yeah.
Yeah, and to a degree, I do agree with that. Like I think that's my fear. I ask myself, should I compromise? Because I'm like, because it's so hard to like I said, it seems like it's very simple things to ask for, but it is not. It isn't. A lot of people don't possess all of those things. But I do know that there will come a point in time where I might feel resentment because I've had that happen in a relationship where I felt like there was something that was unbalanced. We weren't both working towards our relationship in the same way. I felt like I was contributing. That our relationship working meant more to me than it did to him. And I remember feeling a real resentment because I felt like I was putting so much into it, and he didn't understand why. But I was like, it's because we're not working towards this in the same way. And I do feel like I feel that same way with when it comes to communication. I need someone that I can talk to. I need that. That's important to me. I do need someone that I can feel that I can be able to be vulnerable with. But not only me, I want them to feel the same way with me as well. Like I want them to be able to want to come to me and talk to me. I want it to be equal for the both of us. I want those values to be important to both of us. You know what I mean? I want us to both want and to find value in those things where it's important to both of us that we're both able to talk about stuff. It's important to both of us that we're both able to share. I want him to feel as comfortable with sharing what is going on in his life with me as I want to feel comfortable with him. I want it to be, those are the things that matter to the both of us. And so that's why sometimes I'm just like, what, like you were saying, it sounds good, but it doesn't always happen. So am I asking for, like, that's why I start to ask myself, am I asking for too much to be asking for those things? Like, is that too much to ask for? Because it can seem like it's so hard to find that somebody values both things. And that's the reason why every once in a while I get the question in my head. I'm like, maybe I'm asking for too much. Like maybe that is a lot. It doesn't seem like a lot, but maybe it is. To be able to find somebody who checks all those marks where we both find the same things important. But I also get, like, to what everybody's saying, I get it is important. Like it's just that I do know that at some point in time, if that was something that I couldn't find, or that I would be probably seeking it in other ways. You know what I mean? Or from other people. If I can't communicate with my partner, but then someone else comes along that I can communicate with, that's going to cause a rift.
You're not asking for too much. The question is, are you willing to wait?
Listen, I done waited 41 years for it. I guess I might as well wait some more.
Continue to move in your purpose. Yeah, of course. No doubt. That's great advice you give from both ladies. Like,
yeah.
Like, you definitely, it's not even just about the waiting. I think that at this point, you know what you want. So you're not settling. Believe me, for all the women that know, like, y'all all have men in y'all DMs, men on y'all lives, men on y'all stuff that just all want to marry you. Don't even know you, but they want to marry you. You know what I mean? Like you said all the time, oh, can I take you out to eat? Don't even live in the same state as you.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, that's just showing y'all know what y'all want.
Right.
And guess what? Just being honest, the approach is going to be hard. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to just give anyone your attention. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to think about who you're giving your attention to. It matters. Right. You know what I mean? Rather you look good, rather you take care of yourself. And for the most part, we're all, like Rachel was saying, we're all in a social media era. So I don't have to meet you down the street to gauge you. I could just sit back and just watch you talk. Right. And the moment you start talking, you're like, it's either happy or right. You sound crazy, like, or she sounds good. I love the way she talks. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the key thing to the whole situation. Like, you know what you want. You're not going to just settle for anything. It is what it is. Like, you know, to me, I'm not sitting back saying it. It's hard to command my attention a certain way. I will be dead fucking honest like that. It's hard to command my attention a certain way because I'm an intellect. They have to engage me a certain way. Yeah. The people that's in my life, the person that's in my life, these people understand. Right. You know, like, these people will understand. Point blank. Do you think that you have high standards? Do I have high standards?
Yeah. No?
I have standards of I have high mental standards.
Mm,
That's extreme high mental standards.
right.
I think I can handle almost everything else about a person. I will love the happiest person on the face of this earth. That's
Hmm.
what I would like. If you're a happy person, that's what matters. If you are I'm putting emphasis on if you are a happy person, that's what matters. Not everything else you have. Everything else you have is just a bonus. So,
She said, look,
uh, and when you're a happy, experienced person, you be talking, yeah, exactly. And people be listening. The wrong ones be looking for access points. Those access points only. Yes. But you know what the crazy part is, and is this is the sad truth, and this is what needs to actually happen, is ignoring the narcissism. It's ignoring the people that's like that. You know, like when we gauge them and have conversations about it, we actually give them more power. I'm tired of giving them power. I don't even acknowledge these people anymore. Really
right, right.
don't. Mhm.
Wow, Miss.
Hey, look, he probably know how many followers you got and everything. That's why he said it.
Wow. First of all, I don't have that many. Let's just be clear. I don't have that many followers. I think though, it's always so funny though, because in my lives, you've been in there. Like they just it gets a little crazy from time to time. But I think people are just they base things off of what they see in the live very surface level, which is me just talking about very random stuff. But also it's really weird. Like every once in a while you have somebody who has an odd sense of ownership of you that you don't even like. I don't even know you. So why are you asking me so many questions
That
and
one
trying
right
to hold me
there.
to some weird just like the guy who was in the podcast before, like he'll come in every once in a while, he'll still pop in and he'll be like, you didn't answer my question, or why are you ignoring me? And I'm like, first of all, I didn't, but also there are several other people who are in this live and I'm talking to all of y'all. So why do you think that you get like special? I don't even know. I don't know you. Mess said men are very visual. They are. Avi. People be like, I love you. You don't love me. You think you love me. You love what you see right now on the screen. But what you don't love is me. Because you don't know all the things that like you don't know me enough to know that you love me. You see something very visual. I'm what you want visually. That's it. But other than that, like I could make you could hate me. You could hate my personality. You think you like my personality because you see me right now, but the other things about me that you don't even know,
Yeah, big time, bro.
weird and possessive. Weirdly possessive.
The possessive part. Ooh.
And that's always so strange. Y'all know, but they don't know you. They
I
have
wonder
no.
where that come from. I think that comes from when you was a baby. Now you want a baby and everything is yours.
Yeah.
It has to. Like that's a part of the baby that's been never left alone. Like the possessive part. I was in a live earlier and it was a good conversation, but they had said something about we were talking about the poly and we were talking about it, and then I just let them talk. They, of course, I love when people get the chance to talk and say what they got to say,
Mhm.
but they went off the rails with it, and it was like, yeah, she one woman said poly isn't for her because of these reasons and stuff like that. But what did she say in particular that was like? She was like, because I think they talked about loving someone. Do you think you can love someone the same exact way? And it's like common sense will tell you, you can't love
Mhm.
because every love is different feelings. You know what
Right.
I mean? But you can love people. You can love people. You know what I mean? Like people got exes that they still love. Like
Right.
it happens. Like you can still love somebody. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Like, but they was they were saying something about, well, I wouldn't do poly because I'm possessive and I'm this. Why do you become possessive? What do you think you're going to lose that bad? Like you trying to secure it so bad that you're going to try to take possession of a person, period. That means you're doing the toxic thing of where you're going. You're hanging out too late. Is this, is that. You know what you're going to do? You're already setting yourself up to break up with that person the moment they do something to piss you off
Right.
because they have taken away from your possessiveness. Oh, you was out late, so it means you was with somebody. The first thing your mind going to think of, I was with somebody else. And now, your dumb ass is single again. because your mind took you somewhere you did not need to go. And it's
Right.
like, how did you come up with all this stuff? Because I'm possessive.
Right.
Like possessive people, controlling people.
Yeah.
The moment you start becoming like that, I will tell you in a second, okay, I need you to go sit down somewhere.
Wow, Mez. That's crazy.
I love everybody except my ex-wife and my ex-fiance. Damn. All right. So he said
Oh
she
my
said be on my
God.
last nerves because exactly, like possessive people are a very, very annoying set of people because you do not own someone. I always say when you're married to somebody, you still don't own them. But technically, you do because if they die, you take ownership of their bodies. Like
Right.
nobody else can make that decision unless y'all wrote something in y'all wills or something like that. That just, hey, my mom buried me or some shit. Like,
Right.
but yeah, y'all kind of own each other. You know, that's the business right there. You got to pay the business once you're done. Like, if y'all done a relationship, okay, you got to pay the business. So,
Right.
like, yeah, you know, that's the only time I feel like you really kind of own someone. Y'all own each other's debt. Y'all own each other's this. Y'all own each other's that.
Right.
Y'all own everything about each other. So it's like, you know, that's when I feel like it actually is. Like, not saying that that's applying any lifestyle because I feel like even when you're married, nothing should really change. You should still treat the relationship like before you said, hey, put this ring on your finger.
Right.
You ain't say it for no reason. So if anybody wondering why I'm looking like another way, is because the camera's in front of me, but the
No, I get it. Like
so
my
camera
here.
screen. And then there's another screen right there. So it's like, yeah, it's geek shit over here. So if y'all wonder why I'm looking a certain way, that's probably why. But anyway, yeah, possessive people gotta go. Possessive people gotta go. So
Agreed.
anybody who say they're possessive is just And for the most part, you would think men are possessive. Women are just as possessive too.
100%.
Women are just
Yeah.
possessive too. At least that word comes out of their mouth. So what she said?
100%.
Almost at the same time trying to use somebody. Yes, yes. And I think that one of the worst ones that try to possess you is like the ones that like are extremely sexually attracted to you.
Mm.
Because they always think somebody about to take them yams from them.
Right.
That's really what it is. When they sexually attracted to you and they just want to always be the one that give it to you, they start acting goofy.
Right.
This is my I'm dead serious. I got that. I can make like a dumb face at people, and it's just like I don't know if it's insulting or whatever, but I would just sit there like that's almost sit there looking at like with this dumb smile on my face, like okay, like is this a real thing? Like it's just how I am. Like people with that shit, it just.
How do you feel about how did you feel about the point of people wanting someone to level them up? Like, how do you feel about that? Like people actively seeking someone who can make them better or give them better status or bring them up.
Mm-hmm. So it's a hit or miss with that one.
Mm-hmm.
It's depending on what you want me to bring up of you.
Right.
Have I ever been in a situation where people help me out? Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Do you think you were actively seeking that though, or was that just
No, I wasn't actively seeking it. I think that it's weird because as humans, we get our own, we do our own, we taught to do when you get out there, you need to be doing for yourself. You're just not taught to help people.
Mm-hmm.
You're not taught to make a Barbie.
Right.
You're not taught to make a Barbie. Hey, let's make a perfect Barbie. Like, no, we're not taught that shit. Only certain people will do that. But guess what? They do that because they got the finances, they got the backing to do it.
Right.
You know who said something? What's the name? Judge Lynn Tyler. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm. Force
Court. She talks about how her husband was a janitor when I think he was a janitor when they first met. She was a lawyer. She was making big money. He wasn't making really nothing. But guess what? He was there when she was in school. She was going through all the shit that she was going through, and he wasn't
Right.
making nothing that she was making. She was the breadwinner of their situation, and I think she shares a story about how he was thinking about leaving her because of, or somebody told her to. It was either he wanted to leave or somebody told her to leave him because of this, and it might have been him because I think she said, "No, I'm not going to leave you because of something. We're going to make this thing work, and we're going to build together."
Right.
And she built them up both together. All the
Right.
stuff and she's still with that man to this day.
Yeah.
So like, I don't ever think that there's a time where just because that person, your person might be a person that you might have to sit back and build because you know why? You're not building them to be some type of, you're helping their life. You're helping them become
Right.
better. Because what's the difference between helping a complete stranger and helping a person you actually with?
Right.
You know what I
I think,
mean? Like,
yeah, no, I get what you mean. I think I've always understood, I've always had a certain understanding with me. I think when I met a guy or saw a guy that had a certain social standing or he was at a certain point of his life, whether it be success wise or whatever, and he felt like my other next would be sleep hold, and like, okay, I can't. Lord, I'm so done with men. I'm so done.
mm-hmm.
I think I've always understood, like, I think I've met, there's
Yeah,
points and times in my life where if I saw a guy and he had a certain social standing, whether it be his career or something like that, and he was like on a certain level that I felt like I didn't meet. I think there was a part of me that sometimes would be like, well, maybe I shouldn't pursue this because I could completely understand why he might be looking for a certain caliber of woman. Now, if it were to happen naturally and we both were interested in each other, that was one thing. But I do think that there were times when I'd be like, oh, wait, he's a little bit above my pay grade. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think he's probably looking for a woman who, and understandably so, like, I don't think I have an issue with people or wanting someone to meet their level or looking for a certain caliber of person if they feel like that's what they deserve, like to each their own. But I think because of that, there were certain times when I would see certain people be like, oh, he's very attractive, but maybe I shouldn't like shoot my shot. Maybe I shouldn't pursue because I'm not where he is. And I might not be able to give him what he's looking for. Like, I know that I'm a good woman. Like, I know all those things about myself, but I wouldn't blame him necessarily. And I wouldn't find it surprising if he was looking for a certain caliber of woman. And maybe I'm not that. Maybe I'm not that woman. You know what I mean?
no.
But I think that somewhere along the line, there's also the woman or the man who thinks, no, that's what I want. I'm looking for someone who has this level, like, or who was up here to find me, scoop me up, and then bring me up there, bring me up there with them. I do think that there's a thing. You're right. There's only one way to find out, but I just never, I think I always thought for men and men who had a certain social status, that they would be looking for a certain type of woman that at the time I didn't think I was. We don't know. We don't. But it was just me, maybe in my own like insecurity, thinking I'm not what he's going to be looking for. He's going to be looking for a woman who looks like this, who dresses like this, who has this amount of, like, in my head, that was what the type of woman I thought. I feel like a man who was at that level is looking to pair himself with a certain type of woman. And that's not unrealistic. Some men want a woman who, when they walk out, they both present a certain way. You know what I mean? They have to both present like they have money, they're bosses, they have this, and that. She looks this way, she has this type of body. That is very realistic.
Yeah.
Some men definitely live in that world where they want a particular type of woman that looks a certain way and that presents a certain way. And there are oftentimes when I would see that kind of man, be like, oh, he's attractive, but I definitely don't think that I'm the type of woman that and not to say that I think anything is wrong with me, because I don't. But I could just envision and imagine in my head the type of woman that he is trying to aspire to have, or that he does want to have by his side. And so I just wouldn't pursue it.
Okay.
And not to say that I don't think that I wasn't good enough, but just, you know, I feel like sometimes people have a very specific type of person that they're looking for.
Yeah.
And I might not be that.
Yeah, most definitely do. And there's reasons why. It's like, I mean, we explaining all the things, you know, we touch on all the points. We giving, everybody understands this conversation and they understand how it definitely works. But that's too much.
I think a lot. I do a lot of thinking.
Y'all do. Yeah, she does. You know what? And experience is the reason why she does what she does. You know what I mean? All the shit that you've been through, all the stuff that you want, it's all perfectly okay. Say okay with me at least. Like, you definitely got to go and find what it is, you know? Like, no one is going to do anything like the same way you secure your life financially and certain things, the same way you should secure your relationship with people. You can secure your relationship with finances, you can secure your relationship with people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you want somebody that's going to be there for you the right way.
Oh man, that's so true.
Experience to decrease the amount of risk you have to take.
So true.
Yeah. And so that's why it's like when you're a dumbass 21-year-old and you think you've done everything in life, okay? Like when you run into that situation and then you're sitting here where we at and it's like, yo, you don't want to go through that. Like,
right?
You don't want to do that. And now you telling that other dumbass 20-year-old that's coming up now, yo, you don't want to go through that. It's a nice little cycle. It's almost like everybody got to do that same life. Hey,
how do you feel about? I wonder if you were in that live. I don't think you were in that live, but I know there was a couple of other people that we know that were in that live. The one I was talking about earlier, where the young lady was like, "I shouldn't have to bring anything to the table. I shouldn't have to bring anything. I'm just me, and it's about what he's bringing." I had this conversation with somebody. It was like, I think when people who say that are thinking about tangible things, right? Money. Thinking about what a person can contribute financially. When you make that statement, I feel like that's what you're thinking about. But anybody knows, in order for a relationship to be successful, you both have to be able to contribute something. And I'm not talking about financially. I mean, what are you bringing to it as a person? What value are you bringing to your partner's life? Let's just say hypothetically, you are in a situation where the person that you're with is the breadwinner and you don't have to work. You don't think you don't have to bring something to their life?
No clue, Rachel.
Because she wanted to be kept. And so her thing was, I don't have, like, she was thinking financially. So she was like, why should I have to bring anything? I'm the woman. I'm me. He's the one that's supposed to be taking care of me. And I don't think she was thinking about it with any depth. Why do you think that you don't have to contribute anything, any value to your partner? You don't want to have to be supportive of him in any way? And how do you think your relationship is supposed to grow and you two are supposed to level up if you're not bringing anything mentally, emotionally? Like, you're not his helpmate in any way. You just there to look pretty. How do you think that's enough?
Based off of what she's saying and what you're saying, that's 100% what it is. What you're doing when you say that, you want somebody to just take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
All I hear is, I'm giving up my complete control of my body, just pay my way through life.
Yes.
That's all I heard.
Right.
You can do whatever you want to me. Just make sure I'm always got money in my pocket. I can walk around and post up pictures on Instagram, Facebook,
right,
Twitter, TikTok.
And I think that's what got her.
Mm-hmm.
Someone brought that up to her. They were like, well, I mean, then don't be surprised if he does whatever. And she was like, why would that be okay? He was like, you're saying that you don't bring anything. He's just supposed to take care of you. Why do you think that he's okay with that sort of transaction? Like, why do you think that he's going to be like, you can just sit here, but I'm just going to be faithful and never do anything and you don't ever have to do anything, but I'm just going to not a bedwench. I haven't heard
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yep.
Essentially. And I don't even think she even thought past it. She was like, well, why would it be okay for him to do whatever he wanted to do? Because he has me. But you're not bringing anything. Like, what is your value? Right now, your value is your body. That's it.
Mm-hmm. You're just a fucking trophy now.
Right.
You're a trophy
your
that can
value
move.
is your body. And so if that's all you're bringing, why would you be surprised if he's not like, okay, if this is the situation, then I get to do whatever I want because I'm making all the money, I'm taking care of us, I'm doing everything for us in the relationship, and you're just sitting back and reaping all the benefits. So what I get in return is to be able to do whatever I want to do. Why would you be surprised by that?
I'm about to quote a movie.
Okay.
If you've ever seen this movie, it's a classic. It's called Aladdin. He who has the gold makes the rules.
Oh my gosh. Right. And when he leaves, then what?
Oh shit.
When he leaves, then what do we do? What are you gonna do now? What's the next step?
Thank you, Mila. Thank you. So yeah, I'm agreeing with everything y'all saying. It's crazy because I'm in here with ladies. I know Mez was here. He might be still here, just peeking.
Right. I was saying, I wish we had more men in here from a men's perspective. It would have made it so much better.
Yeah. But I will say, like, I do not, for the life of me, understand why someone thinks that is okay. I'm not judging you. Get your money, do what you got to do. But you about to put yourself through a whole fucking headache just for no reason at all. You don't have to.
Right.
Like, damn, go get a fucking job. Go do something that makes you viable in life.
Right.
Don't do something because you want somebody else. Who the fuck be telling y'all to do these things? Like, and then when you don't get the result, you think that you're the biggest mistake somebody do. This is why I don't do it to my child. I am not making Michael version 2 with Gabby. I don't take Gabby and say, yo, Gab, do this, and this. I don't do that. It was just so fucking dumb. I want you to do what you want to do. Only thing I can do is make sure that you walk the right path. That's it. If you're falling, I'm here to pick you up. That's what my job is as a father. Not to train you to say, yo, you need some man to go ahead and take care of you. No, you don't. This is not 1950. We don't go no further before that because we were getting our asses whooped before that. So I'm not going to go too far with that because everybody obviously understand what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't go too far before that. Like, do the things that help you. You came in this world by yourself. You didn't come in this world like Prince Hakeem and had a woman standing on her feet barking like a dog because she was trained to only be with this man all her life. It's not the case. What you're going to get is a situation of maybe, you know, it's like a percentage like this fucking big of people who actually get thoroughly taken care of by a guy and he does nothing but be faithful to this woman. It's like this fucking big.
Right.
But you know how big this is compared to everything else? Like, come on, man. Be realistic. You're not going to get that. That's just point blank. Right. It's not impossible. But just because there's a chance, that don't mean go and pursue it. Have some dignity. Have some integrity. Have something that helps you become the better version of you. That's why when I hear this shit about the tables, and I hear this shit about this, what I don't hear is character. What I don't hear is assessment of personality. What I don't hear is who is this person mentally.
Right.
Because he might be a person that'll take care of you financially, but will fucking stab you if he has a chance to because you pissed him off. Right. That's the reality of the situation. You're controlled by somebody, they want it all. They are fucking Veruca from Little Willy Wonka and Chocolate Factory. They want it all.
Right.
They want it all.
And some people focus so much on hitting those check marks that they don't look at the depths of a person, and then they end up with somebody who like could be a potential serial killer. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, oh, he did a great job. He had a house. He took care of me. He gave me, because those are the things that you were looking for, right? Those are the things you were putting value in. But you missed so much. Right. Like you missed the bigger picture of him, and now you're wondering why he's
Right.
crazy. And then
Right.
also, like, obviously, for those who think that they don't have to bring anything, like, do you think what value do you place on yourself if you
Right.
don't think you have to bring anything?
Right.
What is the real value that you find in yourself if you don't think you can contribute, that you should have to contribute in any other way? I think it speaks a lot to that. Like you're not thinking about mentally, you're not thinking about being a backbone or a person that they can talk to or someone who could be support. Like you're not thinking of yourself in any of those ways. You just thinking of yourself as something, as a materialistic thing.
Listen, when that motherfucker sitting outside your window like Spider-Man, hanging out your window and shit because now he crazy. You asked for it, that's all.
Right.
I just man to take care of me. Yeah, I'm taking care of you.
Right.
And now I'm taking care of my investment.
That's why you get those stories. Be like, I thought he was like, he took care of me. I thought he was this, and that. He looked like, because he painted the pretty picture. Your boxes, the things that you were checking off, your expectations of a person, your standards and expectations of this person were superficial. So you couldn't see past anything else.
Yeah. These ladies is going in these comments. I like it. Y'all fingers is going crazy. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. We got some. Thank y'all so much. Or infatuation. Right. Yes, big time. Infatuation, dangerous thing. You know.
Yes.
When you're infatuated with somebody, everything. You just love everything about them, no matter what it is.
Right. It doesn't matter.
Fucking fart smells like roses to them. Like. Being honest, everything about that person turns you on. So, yeah, we definitely getting closer to our time because almost at the 2 hour mark.
We are.
Yeah, but I think this is a really good conversation, very informative. I love the fact that everybody has been very communicative in the conversation,
right?
Participating in stuff like that, and ladies still going in, so you know it's real. But I would like to say, and this I'm gonna finish it with, as a man, knowing like how other men can be in this world, please evaluate the person that you're dating. If you're getting into dating, getting to know someone again, and all that other stuff, please just don't remember the communication is key. Don't just listen to it, adapt it, adopt it, become it. Like do it, because at the end of the day, do you really want to sit back and find out years later that this motherfucker is a serial killer?
Right.
Do you want to find out he's Jeffrey Dahmer?
Right.
Do you want to find out that stuff? Like, like learn his family, learn everything you can learn about this person. Do background checks. No matter who you date. I tell a person, did you background check me? Or do a background check? You need to know my location. I'll give you a location where I live at, so if you feel to make you feel safe. Do shit like that, like make yourself safe and do all that shit before you get with somebody, asking them what they bring to the table. Because at the end of the day, he's gonna bring a knife to the table. Bring a gun to the table. He's gonna bring these crazy things to the table. He's gonna bring possession to the table. Control. That's what I said. You listen, if you want to hit somebody hard, this is how you hit them hard. When they talk about the table, you say, okay.
He bringing a knife.
He bringing a knife to the table.
He bringing a knife to, and not a butter knife.
Gun to the table.
Right.
He's bringing heartbreak to the table.
He's not bringing a butter.
He's not. It ain't no butter knife. It ain't no. It's the one that's sitting inside the thing that you cut chicken with. Like, is he bringing that motherfucker to the table? Like, and you need to find out if you're bringing a psychopath to the table. If you're bringing a narcissist to the table. Fuck the table. That's the point. Fuck
reevaluate.
Table.
Right.
Reevaluate
what your expectations are. Reevaluate what your standards are. Make sure that they're not just superficial standards. And let's just take some time to get to know people. Like, you know what I mean? It's okay for us to have standards for what we want, but really reevaluate what we're asking. And maybe look at it in more than just one area or one aspect. Don't make sure that what you're looking for on that list of things, on your list of standards, is not superficial. It's not something that doesn't require you to get to know somebody. She said, "Fuck that table." Right.
That's what I'm gonna name it. This episode should have been called "Fuck That Table." So serious. Right. Fuck that table.
Oh my gosh.
But go ahead. You was young.
No, that's all. I was just saying that, make sure when you are thinking about what you want from a person, you're also considering where you are. You're thinking about core values, not just superficial things, that you're thinking about things that contribute to the longevity and growth of your relationship. Mm-hmm. And not just some superficial, because also people can present, especially now, just for anybody who's listening, who comes back to listen, we live in an age of social media, okay? You can see someone and see what they post on their Instagram, on their TikTok, and you think that you're getting one thing that checks off all these things that you think that you want. A man who travels, a man who does this, this, and that. And that is not the life that he's living. When I tell you, Mike, that I know personal stories of people who you might even know, who thought they were getting a pretty package, met someone, dated them, and found out they were getting the exact opposite. I mean, like homeless, nowhere to live. But the person was presenting themselves as they had a job, they had this, and that. And they had no idea. They thought that they had found the perfect man until they dated them and found out that what they thought they were getting was the exact opposite of what they got. So let's just make sure that when we're setting our standards and looking and saying what we want and what our expectations for in a partner, that we're thinking about more than just the superficial and thinking about the potential of growth and really taking time to get to know a person to make sure that they are the things that you want in a relationship. Because when you make it a very superficial, you think he's successful. You think he's making money. You think he can take care of himself. And those things are important to you because you want somebody who, can handle his own. But also people can present one way. And so at the time and age of social media, people can present one way and be a completely different person offline. So let's take the time. Let's make one of the things that we do is taking the time to get to know someone. Like really genuinely learning who they are.
That's exactly what it is. It's taking the time to get to know someone. So take that time to get to know somebody. Also, don't forget, you can have your standards too basic. As a beautiful and vocal Black woman, you can be as selective as anyone else.
Well, thank you. I will definitely try to remember that.
Listen, listen, the one thing I can say is women talking to women, men talking to men talking to women, women talking to men. As Black people, we need to start letting each other listen. And
right.
It ain't about accountability because it ain't nothing to be accountable about. Accountable, whatever. I'm thinking I'm overexerting my mind at this point. It's like it's okay to take that advice. I don't really have too much advice because we've been spitting advice at each other all day. So
right.
I don't know if we can do anything, but let's all just agree. Fuck that table.
True. Fuck the table. It's okay to have standards.
Mm-hmm. Because if you can have standards,
think about your standards. Mm-hmm. Think about the things that are important to you. And really evaluate what those things are. Let's not make them superficial things.
Yes, your expectations. And make sure you evaluate your expectations.
Yes.
If you write those expectations down. Ask yourself.
Do some self-reflection too.
Is that me? Can I do those things?
Right.
Am I able to do
right? Am I going to offer my partner this too?
Mm-hmm. Oh, look! I want to say this one thing.
Okay.
So about those standards and the expectations, stop setting the ones that make sense to you and just about you. And the reason why I say that, there's a reason why I'm saying that. Hold on. Because if I tell you making $250,000 a year because I'm making $250,000 a year, that don't really make sense to me.
No.
Lower the motherfucking standards. At the end of the day, it ain't a lot of people that make $250,000 a year. 1%
Right.
of motherfuckers make $250,000 a year.
Right.
Not a lot of people.
Right.
So try to really understand your standards. Like, do shit that was realistic and makes sense. Okay, listen, just be well taken care of. Make sure that this is good for me. Make sure that is good for me. Make sure this is that. You know, man, like I need this person to be able to do these things. You know, like it's okay to have those expectations.
Right.
Make sure it is easy to fucking achieve these expectations. Don't make that shit like a super hard video game. And I gotta sit back and like this, and now I gotta get a strategy guide to read. Like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. This shit don't make sense to me. Like, and now I'm confused. Like,
Agree.
so, all right. Well, we are going to do our final goodbyes. Miss Lee, we all know that you can find her on all of them platforms.
All platforms at Just Basically Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, at Just Basically.
Mm-hmm. And she might be on Twitter. You're on Twitter.
I have my old Twitter account. I actually just downloaded Twitter last week.
Okay. Y'all gotta make sure y'all follow us on Twitter too. We are on Twitter. I know a lot of it's just our shows is on Twitter right now. It's not necessarily too super active, but it's just an alternative platform for that purpose, like to go over there, you know. And it's also like if you really want to get nasty, you know, nasty. Twitter. I'll be honest, like, cause some people gonna kick me in my ass about this. You follow one person with a fat ass and some big titties, you gonna get a lot of people now because their algorithm is the best. You click one thing, your whole shit gonna get lit up.
Really? I really got to spend some time on. I think all of my old stuff from years ago is what is still on my Twitter account because I like I said I haven't had Twitter for years. I literally just re-downloaded it like last week, so I've got to figure. I don't even know what's on my stream, like on my.
The algorithm is strong. That shit is strong. You be like, one big titty, and they'd be like, "Here's a list of these 1,000." They'd be like, "Hey yo, I didn't ask for all this shit. Not bad. I didn't mean to like it. Like as soon as you like it, it's like bam, like everything now.
Oh,
like
my god! Like he's like right.
Oh,
He's
like
like
there you go. Got so much to choose from now. Go ahead.
Right.
Get your rocks off. Go get yourself in trouble with your lady because if she clicks on this, your ass in trouble. Like, but Twitter is like that. But no, Twitter is more or less right now it's a safe haven because you can do whatever the fuck you want on Twitter. Whatever you want. You could do whatever you want. I didn't see porns on there. I didn't see everything. I'm talking about porn. I'm like, oh God.
Not right, a fountain.
Yeah, it's like, you know, when the fountains shoot up for the first time.
Wow.
You know, they play the music and shit.
Okay.
And now you just like, oh my God.
Oh,
that's how you look at it, like, oh my God.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. They're everywhere. So, all right. Y'all know what, like I said, follow her. You know, y'all know where to follow me.
Yep.
I haven't been on AMP. I might feel like I have to take that down. But yeah, follow us on there and make sure that y'all, you know, like the show, like it, like Doink is right above y'all conversation. If y'all hit the X button, press the X on the chat, and then it's a like right there. Just exit, like it, and we done.
Right.
Exit, like it, we done.
And thank you guys so much for being so active and giving us feedback. I work best when people are interacting with us. We appreciate you guys' interaction so much. Please come back next week. We're gonna have another great topic. We try to switch it up every once in a while and go from serious to spicy. Serious.
So what you saying? We go back to spicy?
I mean it's spicy. We did serious. We might have to go back.
If we got people in the chat, if y'all had to pick a spicy conversation, what's the spicy conversation y'all want to hear? We didn't already talk about kinks. We talked about kinks. Sex with signs, sex period. I don't know. Like, what's a good topic that y'all would like to hear I don't know if it has to be freaky, but it can be whatever. Y'all can, people that know me send me messages, whatever the case is, send her messages. Doesn't matter. Like if y'all want to hear something in particular, that's going to be
right. We do have an email address. You can get us at wegotquestionspodcast@outlook.com. If you have ideas or suggestions for topics or questions that you would like for us to cover, please don't hesitate to send it there. You can send us a message here. You can send us a message to our Twitter account. It's also We Got Questions Podcast. Or you can hit us up on our socials on TikTok.
Right. I don't want to talk about like previous sex partners and shit.
Yeah, no, let's not do that.
No, so talk about how people you fucking your past. Like, no, I'm not giving that spotlight. Like, no.
Oh man.
So, all right, we are out of here. I will talk to y'all next week.
Bye, guys. Thank you for coming.
She had to fix her hair.
I did.